Giving up bread for just 14 days will have some surprisingly beneficial changes to your body, and here's what you should expect. Hey Wellness Warrior, I'm Dr. Nick Zyrowski, and when we look at bread, it's a starchy carbohydrate. Not only is it going to have an impact on your body as a starchy carbohydrate would, but also it has some other negative effects that you probably weren't thinking of. Let's go ahead and start off with one of the main ones that you may know about. When you consume bread, it is going to break down as sugar in your body. And as this breaks down into sugar, it's going to raise your blood sugar, of course, and as a result of that, spike insulin. Over time, this can start to cause problems with insulin resistance. Now, of course, if you're somebody who is already mildly insulin resistant versus somebody who is healthy metabolically, this is going to have a far negative effect on you than you would expect. And so if you start cutting bread out of your diet, you're going to find that you start to balance your blood sugar better and also keep your insulin lower. And all of this will result in some weight loss, which I think you'll be really happy about. Now, the other reason that you're going to start seeing weight loss when you take bread out of your diet is simply because you are consuming healthier foods. When you cut the bread out and you fill that in with good fats, lean proteins, and also a lot of different fruits and vegetables, you're going to find that you're much healthier for it. Much of the bread on the market is very low quality, and unfortunately that is what most people are consuming. At the end of this video, what I'll do is show you some of the breads that you should eat and can have. Now, another big change you can expect to see is a healthier gut. And this is because when you consume a lot of bread, it actually pushes your microbiome, all the different things living within inside your gut, into an unhealthy direction, meaning that you may have more yeast, you may have more chance of getting a candida infection, and you're also feeding some bacteria that are not too beneficial for you. Whereas if you're eating a good healthy diet that doesn't have all those starchy carbohydrates in it, you're going to find that you have a much healthier microbiome. As a result of this, your stomach lining will be much healthier. You'll notice that you have less bloating, you'll have less gas, you'll have less digestive upset, even less IBS. As a result of cutting bread out of your diet for 14 days, your gut health will improve. There is no doubt. Now, one of the big things that many people ask is, well, Dr. Zyrowski, people have been eating bread for thousands of years. Why is this such an issue? Well, there's a few things to consider. One is that much of the wheat now is genetically modified. In fact, most of it, especially in the United States. Another thing to consider is that the wheat is highly sprayed with a lot of pesticides. And the other thing that you may not have been thinking about is that people consume wheat in larger amounts today than ever before. There's a lot of products on the market that you would never even think have wheat in it. In fact, they do. You can get some different canned vegetables and somehow it has wheat in it. You can get many different foods that has wheat in it when you would never even look at it as something that came from wheat. If you're somebody who has celiac disease, and of course you have to make sure you avoid wheat at all costs, you start to realize it's really difficult. Get a snack bar, it has wheat in it. Cereal, it has wheat in it. So wheat has kind of made its way into many foods because it's a cheap filler, and unfortunately many companies, in order to actually get their profits up, they put wheat in it. We're consuming it at higher levels and the quality is lower than it's ever been. Now, another issue that you have to really be careful with when it comes to wheat is that there is a good chance that you can be sensitive to it. Now, you've heard of somebody who has celiac disease, and it's quite obvious when they have wheat, they have a pretty dramatic side effect and a lot of symptoms that come out of it that can be quite horrible. However, there's a lot of people who are non-celiac sensitive. And what that means is, though you don't have celiac disease, you have very low level reactions to gluten that are harming you. In fact, if you're somebody who doesn't have celiac, it doesn't mean that wheat is okay for you to eat. You may be having a lot of inflammatory issues coming out of it. You can secretly have an autoimmune issue developing in your body because of wheat. And as a result of that, your health starts to decline. So don't think just because it didn't show up on an allergy test or a food sensitivity test that it's all right for you. So if you cut it out for 14 days, you'll have a good opportunity to see, do you feel better? Do you have less pain in your body, less stiffness? Are you feeling better? Is your head more clear? Are you able to have more concise thoughts? And these are the things you want to start looking for, because it's estimated that many people are non-celiac gluten sensitive. Cut it out for 14 days and see if you feel better. Now, when we look at some of the breads that you can in fact have, there's a few that come to mind. First of all, sourdough is a pretty good option just because it's fermented and it actually really lowers the gluten load, and it also helps almost pre-digest the bread so it's easier for you to digest. But it doesn't mean that it's right for everybody. It is a better option though. Now, another better option is going to be an organic ancient grain bread. And this organic ancient grain bread is going to be also a healthier option, typically free of GMO, typically free of all the pesticides and all the nasty stuff that's in bread. And also it's using a diverse mixture of grains that in fact are typically sprouted. And so when the grains are sprouted, they are far easier for your body to digest. Now, another option is going to be the keto option, and that is cloud bread. Now, keto cloud bread is something that you can make all kinds of fun things with. I mean, we've made pizzas with it and really enjoyed the process of that. And then beyond that, you can look to like an almond flour and a coconut flour bread, which can be a little bit more tricky to make and find in the marketplace. However, it is a much better option than your typical wheat bread. In a nutshell, if you were to give up bread for 14 days, you should find yourself feeling much better. You should find your metabolic health much better. You can find that your gut health will improve. And so give it a try. If you've never thought about doing this, it's a great way to determine whether or not bread should be in your diet. I'm Dr. Nick Zyrowski, and if you enjoyed this video, I think you'll really like this one next.